Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back again to the StarLadder I-League Invitational Season 4. We're taking a look at game number 2 here today, as it is OpTic facing off against Animal Planet. I'm Lyrical, joined as well by the wonderful Tsunami643. You can follow us on Twitter if you want. There's our sellout for the day. But yeah, it's game number 2, and OpTic are a game up. How you feeling, Tsunami?
I have confidence still in the Animal Planet squad. It just takes some getting used to it, seeing how they opt to, like, give farm priority to different people. Like you had mentioned in a previous series how AUI wasn't playing very greedy, but this game seemed like a marked difference to that. Like 4 points in Sandstorm, straight up Tranquil Boots, and kind of farming up the jungle and doing your own thing, managing to get a Blink Dagger Yules and having money for buyback. Like that's the AOI that I was familiar with. And so it's the fact that maybe they're adaptable, or maybe they're still trying to find like what works best for them. Because more often than not, you won't really see teams be like, okay, this game you can be super greedy, and this game you have to be like super passive and stuff like that. Once you find a strategy that works, and once you find a style that works, you kind of stick to it. And so maybe initially some growing pains right now for Animal Planet in that game 1, but we'll see if they can recover in this game 2.
And then as soon as you find something that doesn't work, you say, screw it, we're picking a zombie. Look at this guy. This big stinky zombie, and he's getting taken now. So we've got Ogre Magi, Shadow Shaman, and Undying. The Ogre's kind of an interesting one. I mean, it's a hero that we've been seeing sometimes go in the first round. What is it about this hero that everybody loves?
I don't think it's everybody. I think it's some teams do like him, but then some teams will just like straight up ignore him. It definitely fits the way that OpTic like to play. Like for one thing, I think PPD really likes having supports that can empower, so to speak, not necessarily Magnus empower, but supports that can transition well as the game progresses. Like AA is a favorite of OpTic, and it's not so much buffing his carries, but Ice Blast is like a scaling ultimate, and so Chilling Touch can be effective in the later game. Ice Vortex is always useful because it's a percentage-based thing. And so I think OpTic always likes these supports that can very smoothly transition into the late game if the game goes to that point, but also in the early game they're very useful. And Ogre ticks all those boxes pretty well, with Bloodlust obviously being exceptional for the late game, and then early game his dual mid presence if they opt for that, or just lane presence in general with his extremely high regen is great. And so I think that's one of the reasons why teams like him, but some teams just don't care about him because a lot of times they're like a 5 position, it's not okay being like a or a 4 position. It's not okay just being a bloodlust machine for 30 minutes of the game, whereas PvD, he just wants the W in the end. He doesn't care how much fun he has on the way.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
5 seconds
and
remaining.
Now also taking a Nature's Prophet. You know, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if this either went. I mean, the most likely candidate is going to be Zai, but I wouldn't be surprised if 3-3 took it also. He's kind of the type of player that I think could pull it off. He could, run around, split push, make stuff happen in the early game in particular. Like whenever the Ogre runs into somebody's lanes, finding kills early on. It certainly doesn't have to be, but I wouldn't be entirely surprised if that's something that they went for. And also, It's kind of unique because you can still run at people. How does that deal with like an Undying, though, a Nature's Prophet in general?
He's effective at being able to deal with the Tombstone, that's for sure, because more often than not, Undying will plant the Tombstone in a kind of difficult location for other heroes to deal with whenever, you're getting ganked. But Nature's Prophet can approach from any angle by the nature of teleportation, so it's one way at dealing with a Tombstone. But in the lane, it's kind of difficult because also all of your treants are providing more units for Soul Rip to be more effective, and these days we're seeing a Soul Rip max be one of the go-to builds for Undying. More often than not, it's still max Tombstone, but depending on how a team wants to play it, max Soul Rip is a lot of damage that teams just don't expect early on, and if you have units being provided to you, and then even double the units whenever you Tombstone and all your zombies go onto the trance, then I can see a lot of potential from Soul Rip. Though, I am looking forward to seeing if OpTic do roll swaps with 33. Like, right now, I guess I'm not really going to put it on the table, so I'm putting my money on it being a Zai Nature's Prophet, but I do think that 33 and Zai have like different playstyles. From what I recall of 33, like I said, he's very consistent, and that means that he's usually not extremely greedy. And Zai is typically a fairly greedy offlane, and so I think that there's a lot of potential to be had if they do end up going for role swaps in the future. But maybe Zai was just like, no, I've had enough playing non-farming positions, because I always thought that he was a better offlaner than he was a 4 or 5. Like, even all that time that he spent on EG, I still yearned for offlane Zai. And in the opening weeks of OpTic's roster, it looked a little shaky, and so I was just like, maybe he's lost his touch, but he's come back in fantastic fashion, and he's excellent, very competent offlaner, but a very greedy one more often than not, and so we'll see if OpTic Gaming are gonna start exploring that possibility as they move forward.
Absolutely.
Team pick.
Ooh, our spirit is gonna get taken now. More, well, actually, the beginnings of team fight. Really, they don't have all that much outside of this, and that signals that it's most likely going to be 3-3 playing that one, since we did a good job of it previously.
10 seconds remaining.
Tiny going to be the core of choice for Animal Planet. I imagine it's going to be Ritsu's hero. And Tiny is a hero that it's very clear when his power spikes are. Like with Razor in that previous game, he wasn't really that scary for OpTic. Like sometimes you'll go for, damage items as a Razor, like you'll get, Dragon Lance or Blade Mail or all these, like Saint and Yasha, all these early game damage items, but that game Ritsu went more defensive oriented. He went for a hood and a drum, which drum is very typical, but a hood afterwards is great if you're able to get it before the enemy team starts dealing right-click damage. And so he got the hood for the Queen of Pain because the Queen of Pain was getting free farm. The problem is that CCNC Sniper was also getting free farm, and so he just was not intimidating to CCNC's Sniper, especially because Sniper had that Hurricane Pike as well, and so even Static Link wasn't that scary. Tiny, on the other hand, like, you finish off that first item, be it a Blink Dagger or a Shadow Blade, and then you kind of have a license to do whatever you want. And so I like this option better for Animal Planet than I did with Ritsu's hero choice in Game 1.
Yeah, and I'm a little concerned about OpTic's side because they don't have that damage dealer, really. Like, in the last game, you could kind of make up for it because they had Ice Blast, so that was a huge part of them being able to find kills. I'm looking at these heroes, they don't really do that much damage at all. Like, Nature's Prophet's ulti and then, like, TP in on somebody can right-click somebody down. But as this game goes on longer and longer, these are kind of big, beefy cores, unless they're just planning on picking on the Shaman the entire game. I don't know where they're hoping to find pickoffs and kills. We'll have to see if the next two picks address that.
And even these supports aren't that great at being able to get kills on Tiny either, because they're all pretty much about crowd control. And Tiny with status resistance is going to make Earth Spirit far less effective. It's going to make Ogre Magi less effective at being able to keep this hero in place, so you need more burst damage. And so OpTic are opting to give a CCNC SF for that burst damage, hopefully. But at the same time, you also see another squishy hero that Tiny can pick on, so Tiny is definitely going to be a problem for OpTic in the mid and late game.
I almost wish that like this Beastmaster might have been a Bat Rider instead of that, because I'm thinking like if you were able to jump on top of that SF and like, pull him back and away, then he's out of position. You have a great chance, because it feels like with the other heroes that OpTic has, it's going to be all about this Shadow Fiend. Granted, they still have another core that they can take, but I don't know. That's just maybe my initial impression. You can do the same thing with Beastmaster, roar him up, and then just try and take him down during the duration of that roar. But I don't know. 5 seconds remaining. I think it could still work.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bat Rider would have been good, though. Maybe Beastmaster is a little bit more reliable against a Nature's Prophet. With the Hawk providing vision, like sure, the Bat Rider has Firefly for flying vision every once in a while, but the Hawk can keep eyes on Nature's Prophet with like a much shorter cooldown duration, and just scout around in general for the Tiny, whereas I guess a Bat Rider would need to be paired with the Tiny, but the Beastmaster and Tiny can kind of be a little bit more independent. But both of them are very self-sufficient offlaners, and I think that's the most important thing, because I'm betting with this draft that Animal Planet are probably going to go for a pretty greedy mid lane position. OpTic Gaming suspected the Tinker, they'd ban it out. I think Tinker would have been pretty good. It's a good hero at dealing with Nature's Prophet. But Animal Planet can still afford to get fairly greedy with whatever mid lane option they go for. They've been known to pick SF themselves, but it's already been selected. And most of their other mid lane options aren't really that greedy. Like they go for like DK in a previous series, but in general, just not that much data on Animal Planet. And I don't know Bryle's hero pool, but there are options available for sure.
Well, they take the PL next, so it's another little bit of extra late game carry potential. I'm still a little bit concerned about what they're going to be doing if they don't, like if Shadow Fiend has a tough time mid. Because Phantom Lancer, he doesn't do like a ton in the mid game. He throws out those lances, tries to like duck in and out of the fights. But he can also get bursted by Tiny if he's not careful. It's going to be a Quab last pick from Animal Planet.
Hero.
I really like their draft.
Yeah, I like the first 4 heroes. I think the Queen of Pain maybe just exclusively to have a strong matchup against SF. Because now, like, OpTic Gaming, these supports are going to be spread so thin. They have so many lanes to be concerned about, because Moon Beastmaster in the offlane, like, PL can't really do much against a Beastmaster, so PL is going to need some support. SF definitely needs help against the Queen of Pain, because Queen of Pain is one of the rare heroes that actually can dodge triple raises thanks to Blink. And the roaming potential of Shaman and Undying means that even your offlane Nature's Prophet is going to have a lot of pressure applied to him when he's dealing with this Tiny. And so, OpTic Gaming, it's going to be up to PPD and 33 to get them to the late game, because right now I do agree that Animal Planet have a much easier draft to execute.
Okay. Well, we'll have to watch and wait and see as we hop into game number 2, OpTic facing off against Animal Planet. Loser's going to go home out of the qualifiers entirely. Winner will move on to face the winner of our next match, which is also set to be a great one. So be sure to stick around for that one, everybody. It's going to be Immortals versus Complexity. Got to get that plug in because this is potential to be the last game if OpTic can pull out a 2-0. Still feeling like Animal Planet might have this one, though, depending on how the play goes.
Yeah, I do like the selection of Phantom Lancer as their core, though.
Prepare
Even though
for
it's a
battle.
hero that can get bursted down, Tiny has 0 armor. And while Tinies often do build that Assault Cuirass as the game progresses, that's like a late game item. And Phantom Lancer is all about physical damage all game long. And so normally these illusions aren't really that big of a deal for a lot of heroes. But a hero that has 0 armor and is more about like raw HP, then Phantom Lancer's illusions can be surprisingly effective damage dealers, since your Diffusal Blade also deals physical damage based off of the mana burned.
Well, he does eventually get it with his grow, but it's not like the best thing in the world in comparison to some of the other ones. But yeah, and also having that Shadow Fiend in there, the extra little bit of, minus armor. We'll see if they try and keep on building that.
I mean, Ogre
30
Magi is very
seconds.
flexible item build. You can
PPD's
go
not getting
Medallion
any
Solar
gold.
Crest, you can go Glimmer Cape, you can go Force Staff, or you
PPD
can
is
just not
going
get any gold
Hordes.
whatsoever. Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay.
Let's see if he gets Arcane Boots even. That's always the biggest test for a PPD game.
Moon will be spotted here. They place down a ward, which is going to be blocking out the hard camp also. And maybe they were
battle
trying to get in a
begins.
position to try and pull the creep wave pass, but looking like that's not going to happen. Bounty runes go pretty evenly across the board. And do you expect to see a lot of movement mid, or do you think this is going to be another one of those straight up 1v1s?
I see Animal Planet's heroes rotating in the mid lane often, and I see OpTic Gaming trying to leave CCNC as alone as possible for whatever they can do, but it's not going to be easy.
Hitrack just standing on his hill, and already a tough matchup. CCNC is going to get a little bit of help from Peter eventually. He's thinking about walking up here, but not easy. The nice part, at least, is that Ogre isn't a strength hero, even though he looks like he should be. So he's not getting the health burst simultaneously, or his damage burst simultaneously.
Right. Although when it comes to dual mids, Undying is one of the kings, though, just by the nature of Decay, and CCNC wants to get just one soul. That's all he wants.
Dealing a good bit of damage there. Careful. Did PPD get that last hit? The Ogre has more last hits than the Shadow Fiend. Back it in. And
That's a
Shadow
dual
Fiend
mid
has
tax.
280 health. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, his tangos are effective.
That's true. They are very effective right now. Although it's on cooldown now for the shared tango, but yeah, this is the, like, PPD doesn't really want to be here.
Oh god.
CCNC,
look at
that
the right
soul
click.
rip.
Oh my god.
First,
All right, we're done. He has 0 last hits in a minute and a half.
Yeah, I don't know if he was expecting Rasta to be mid instead, because more often than not, whenever you have an Undying in your dual mid situation, you go for a stick straight out of the base. But CCNC thought that maybe he would be able to get a few souls, maybe they wouldn't send, as now in the top lane there's a big dive going in.
Yep, trying to find the stun. Ritsu able to walk it off for the moment. Zai still looking for those right clicks as the Koreans are chasing after Ali, but they're able to get the extra bit of damage in from all the creeps. And another kill going the way of Animal Planet.
Yeah, I think maybe Zai was so caught up in microing his trance he didn't realize that the creep wave was coming in, and yeah, that is a lot of damage plus the shackles.
You are looking good.
Zai looking for a courier snipe, not gonna find it. Almost there, but he's
Close.
gonna have to TP back to lane. That's that play
Yeah,
there.
see, Undying basically cashes out all of his HP and straight TP's back. He got his kill on CCNC, which CCNC now is 3 souls, so it's not as dramatic as it was a little while ago. But it's still, like, neither... Ogre is basically, like, handcuffed to this lane now, because if he ever leaves, even, like, with the presence of Undying on the enemy side or not, Bryle is so strong against a Shadow Fiend, pretty much all lane long.
Just gonna keep on getting hit by those decays mid.
And you see now, like, Pycat is struggling and as a result, because he has no support, and this is a terrible 1v1 matchup for most melee heroes, but Phantom Lancer especially is now PPD gonna go down, kill goes to Bryle.
Yeah, this is definitely tough. Right now, losing all 3 lanes, and well, Animal Planet feeling quite good about their situation. This is rather rough.
And while Zai is going to be able to help the mid lane, because if you manage to, you know, if Bryle blinks in aggressively or something like that, then you can turn it around with a triple race and a Nature's Prophet. But Pycat's lane, like, this guy, he is going to be struggling for a while, because Moon Meander, he's going for a heavy Axis build, and so, like, more often than not, a Phantom Lancer can be like, whatever, I'll just, like, I can deal with your boar, I can sustain through it, but this amount of burst damage means that if Pycat's not careful, he can very quickly die to a Beastmaster solo.
Yeah, Beastmaster topping the CS charts right now. CCNC, he's just gonna keep on getting hit by this decay. Brought Mango, brought Clarities, 20 stacks, and I mean, Queen of Pain does so much burst damage in such a short period of time.
Well, Moon Meander actually dies in the bot lane to a Zai rotation.
All right, this is what needs to happen. Zai is going to need to play some heavy carry in this game.
Wow. Hero was expecting that Zai was just going to let Pycat struggle and they were going to worry about the mid lane, but 33 had gone to the mid lane briefly. They were looking for a rotation on the Undying, but I guess during that downtime, Zai finds an opening and kills off the Beastmaster. That's so crazy. He must have gone for like an Axis aggressively as in CCNC.
Yep, he's trying to take him down, but Kit Track is not going to die until after the fact, and then see Bryle get out of there as well. Another death on the CCNC. Zai just a bit too late to help out his mid laner, and still losing all 3 lanes.
Yep. And if Zai leaves, that means Ritsu can completely free farm in the meanwhile. Not that Tiny would really struggle free farming regardless, but your recovery plans, like all 3 of your lanes, like you said, need some. Either they need to be getting a lot of gold, or they need to be getting a lot of experience, and they're all getting nothing. And Zai again has to play support, even though he was like, dude, I don't want to play support anymore. I want to play Nature's Prophet, and he has to worry about Pycat all the time.
Yeah, this is really, really bad. They're just trying to salvage something, anything, like you were saying. And, well, we do have Bryle, who ends up finding another kill on the CCNC, popping the stick charge, just trying to run away, and he is maybe going to be able to get out of there. Has a blink soon, the roll away. He's actually going to live through this one on 11 HP. They lose 3-3 in the dive behind the tower. I don't know if it's even going to be enough. Moon is going to fall, but the Ether Shock comes out, and Aoi able to find another kill. He's going to run into Zai here again, and looks like he should be able to get out of there. Although he actually didn't have teleport off cooldown, and now the tower's hitting him. Zai's gonna go down. Oh god.
I don't know why they're committing so hard for the Beastmaster. Like Moon's job is to be a space creator. That's your job as an offlaner. And so if it takes two core heroes to worry about you, and in the end they still both go down, then OpTic Gaming are like, no matter how many times they kill this Beastmaster, they're not going to come out ahead. The AUI being able to get that kill in return is just bonus. Snap kick track definitely dodges a roll in by 33, but may still go down.
Have a toss though, trying to turn this back around. He's gonna have a soul rip to find the kill. Doesn't even use it for himself. Might have been able to live there if he did it, but instead it's gonna be Ritsu trying to take down Zai, looking for the toss back. Doesn't quite get it there, but he will instead be able to go for Avalanche in a second. Zai again with no TP on cooldown, and looks like he's gonna probably fall. Oh, he's able to dodge Ritsu. Well played.
Yeah, Ritsu took a Tango and a Quelling Blade just to deforest that little sprout, but ended up not being able to find it. Still though, like Zai, he's managed to almost hit level 6, which is pretty good, but Nature's Prophets need to get ahead, because like otherwise he can't really push very well, because if Tiny goes for a blink, which I imagine he probably will this game, then like every single time that the Nature's Prophet goes to a lane and he doesn't know where Tiny is, he just needs to just cast his Nature's Call and then get out, because if he sticks around, he's gonna get bursted down by this Tiny if he's this far behind.
Looking for a kill on the Pycat down bottom, but it doesn't look like they're gonna be able to find it yet. They do rotate in Zai, and now Aoi just going to TP away, gives him a little hit of his axes before Moon backs up as well. But yeah, it really is just becoming this situation where now 3-3 is trying to soak up whatever he can mid, and Zai has to sort of defend down bottom. A very awkward movement around the map right here, and it doesn't really feel like they're able to get anything done either. They're so far behind.
Yeah, all top 3 CSers are owned by Animal Planet heroes and all top 3 net worths, and any lane that is finally left alone, then they get squeezed on. Is now 33 gonna go down.
And I guess it's not even so much that like it's a huge net worth deficit right now for Animal Planet. It's more just that it doesn't feel like it's ever going to get that much easier until a lot of things change. Aoi is going to end up going down here, so that's at least one positive. Ryle maybe going to go down as well. The haste drone, they are going to be able to find him with the stun, the right click, they get the kill. Much needed. Tombstone's down now, but I don't think that they can get into range unless Ritsu, he finds Zai, and silence to follow it. CNC still living. He's almost out of mana. If he can kill Kitrak, another kill, double for CCNC. I'm talking about how it's not getting easier. It gets a little easier.
Alright, so a little bit of a recovery. The problem is that while the net worth disparity isn't that high, experience is pretty well favored for Animal Planet, and at this stage of the game, that's huge. And while all those kills are great, it was split between like 5 heroes. Now bot lane, Pycat gets Sonic waved.
Big kill.
And that's only 2 heroes that were dedicated to that, as Moon Meander spent his Primal Roar, and Queen of Pain spent her Sonic Wave, but that's absolutely worth it. It's now top lane, 33, kicks back a Tiny. So like, whichever lane is being left alone, like, Animal Planet are doing such a good job at being like, well, this hero is undefended. It's PPD gets a kill on the Shaman, but that's just a support hero in comparison.
I mean, they definitely staying in it. This is not actually as bad as it was looking before. The big discrepancy now, that after those couple of kills, is that it's Tiny that's still ahead of Pycat by about 1,200 gold. But mid lane is in a lot of ways stabilized. You're only 600 gold behind the Queen of Pain, and you've gotten your levels so you can start maybe even farming up stacks. Things are definitely turning around for OpTic after that somewhat questionable dive mid.
There's a lot of big power spikes for Animal Planet heroes though, as now dive in again on the top lane.
Quick kill.
I mean, they're bullying 33, but it's not really that huge of a pick.
Top tower is under attack.
Zai's just like, screw this, I'm jungling. I don't want to be here anymore.
So Moon Meander is actually going for a,
Top tower
it looks
is
like a
under attack.
Necro book. I can't, for some reason I can't click on the courier, but I imagine it's going for a Necro book. And, oh, dive on him by Zai.
Right click. Starting to fall.
He has Roar.
Yeah, he's gonna turn it now, and Ritsu shows up, and he's gonna kill off Zai. Oh, you want to kill so
Mid-lane,
bad, and
Ward
it's
Trap,
not happening.
Shackles.
Ooh, man. All right, CCNC goes down yet again. 2-4-2. the SF.
This is a high combat game. 23 kills, 11 minutes in.
Yeah.
I guess this does favor OpTic, because if all things remain static, then like they need to create a little bit of chaos in this game to find these opportunities. Because like that one opportunity in the mid lane, they kill off the Queen of Pain, and then Undying is like, well, we can still take this fight, and he goes down as well. That's the kind of wrench you need to throw in Animal Planet's plans. Otherwise, if everything remains relatively static, then they're going to come out on top every time.
Right. Zai's showing up, has found Moon again. The axe
come back.
That's unfortunate. Now, Bryle just going to continue to farm out mid. Hasn't really invested in any big items yet. Level 9 and has the Orchid in his sights. Looks like this is going to be what? The Veil coming out first, or just the first part of the Orchid?
Yeah, first part of the Orchid.
Isaac.
I guess this is just the thing. Like, I guess Veil has fallen off because even last game with Pycat, he didn't go for the Veil at all.
Yeah. Two. They're all mid here now. And it looks like OpTic will be able to chase them back before the mid tower gets further assaulted. Aui's level 7. You take a look at the other levels here, and it's definitely a discrepancy. Ogre's not very high in the experience right now, and he's going to be found by Moon. Might even end up going down. They have the roar if they want to use it. In fact, they will.
Top tower has
As
been denied.
he is going to, well, TP away, maybe a chance. No, Axe is going to be there. Top lane, another catch, another kill. Aoi goes down yet again by Pycat.
That's definitely in favor of OpTic. AUI is not only more farmed with higher level, and you didn't need to spend an ultimate. And Zai is like, I would love to see the player perspective of Zai. I can't imagine how many times he's been panning across the minimap because he's been finding openings and he's been creating openings. And more often than not, like, these highly mobile Nature's Prophets kind of fell off in like their playstyle. More often than not, it's just like you just plop them down, you make sure that Nature's Prophet is constantly harassing the enemy safe laner, and you only worry about sprout ganks like once you complete your first item, be it like a medallion or a blade mail or whatever the case. But Zai has no time for that whatsoever, and he's been going all over the map since minute 5.
Ritsu's still looking with this Shadow Blade. We'll run into PPD, and that'll be an Avid toss back. So, Bryle, actually, Ritsu going to be the one that gets the kill there. And bottom lane, they're going to try and go on to Zai now. And
mid lane, they're going on CCNC also.
Oh god. Magnetized though. Requiem of Souls comes out. Kid Track going to be punished. He's going to be killed. The rest of them are going to back out now. Or Ritsu's going to go back in. Moon kills off Zai, debuting that Meteor Hammer. Rocks falling from on high.
Oh, that's what it was. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I see the Instaff, but Instaff, like, where's this ogre? I don't know. I was so confused. Okay, Meteor Hammer. I was not even like, considering that.
So let's see. Disable 3-second stun, and then it's a 2.5-second channel, so it's another 2-second stun. So 5.5 seconds disable total.
Okay.
I don't know. It's time when his creeps can hit on stuff as well. It's not completely bad.
It
kind
pushes.
Of an interesting way to make it work.
Okay. I mean, a lot of people have been theory crafting various Meteor Hammer heroes. I think Batrider ended up becoming like the most logical one, especially after
Phoenix.
the most recent buff. Oh yeah, Phoenix also, but the problem is like Phoenix is a support hero, and whenever you get that GPM talent, you're more often interested in like, you know, crowd control with Sheepstick and Shivas and stuff like that. But they're pushing.
Use
No,
it.
no, no. You've got the Rust Awards. That you know, it's got a 40-second cooldown. It's basically an ultimate of its own. You could use it on this guy.
Oh, he's channeling. Oh, it's coming. Get owned. But now the Cat right next to him. Zai moving in as well, and Moon Meander nowhere really left to go as Aui's going to try and TP away. No TP for Moon. He's gone.
I mean, that was cool and all, but you kind of overkilled perhaps for an Earth Spirit. I imagine they were like, oh dude, someone's coming in. I'm totally going to Meteor Hammer him. There's no way that the rest of OpTic's going to rotate in on this, but Pycat arrives, as does CCNC. Probably gets spotted out, but he has a blink, and actually Zai TPing in.
Oh
They're
god.
gonna get the kill.
Yeah, they got Bryle yet again. So scary stuff here. You're starting to lose off this Queen of Pain, and sure, you've still got a 3,000 net worth lead, but it's not insurmountable, particularly if Shadow Fiend continues just going unhampered. He is still only sitting at 4 deaths, so he hasn't ended up going down in a long time.
Yeah, he's been actually not even given that much attention. 33. I think they're creating pressure by not like worrying about CCNC. Like all the supports are like, let's go, you know, sacrifice our lives so that our SF isn't getting pressured. Like PBD tanked that Primal Roar gank. 33 took a Meteor Hammer gank. So it's all heroes that aren't Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, exactly. And that definitely feels like it's it definitely feels like it's starting to become more and more of an issue. Now that Highcat also has finished off his Diffusal Blade, they're only now going to be taking down this tier 1 tower middle.
Radiant's middle tower
Need to shut off the map a little bit more.
Let's see what else this Meteor Hammer can do. He's going for a Blink Dagger afterwards, so Moon Meander's solo gank potential is high, and they don't really have many channel breakers on the side of OpTic Gaming. Like, CCNC's not going for the Yule's build, which I think is definitely the right call. He's going for a Sange, and then we'll see what he goes for next. Maybe go finish it off into full Sange and Yasha, and then Nature's Prophet has gone for a Force Staff, as now they're looking for Kid Shark on the top lane, and they're gonna find him. Sprout?
Another catch there. Oh, Soul Rip, trying to turn it, trying to live. He might actually... Oh, okay, come on.
So I had to spend Force Staff for that.
Look at all the zombies, too. The dead are rising, and they're starting to run after these guys. They got him, trying to chase. 3-3, getting away, gets the rollout. So, not going to actually get out of there. Bryle with the double. And now, rest of OpTic just going to retreat.
Well, Zai has managed to complete the medallion after that Force Staff. Like, but the only reason that OpTic are confidently in this game is by compliments of Zai sacrificing so much and still managing to get a fair amount done. He's tied in net worth with the Beastmaster, which is admirable given the discrepancy in how their laning phases were going, but OpTic Gaming are now going to have to rely on making sure that this SF manages to find a way in the game. They've created a ton of space for CCNC, and he's done well with that space. He's finished it off the full Sange, he's going for the Yasha afterwards, and Pycat is also doing fairly well. As you said, completed off that Diffusal Blade, but knows that a Diffusal Blade is not enough to fight quite yet. And again, like, Ritsu is kind of struggling to find a place in this game. Like, he managed to get that Shadow Blade early on, but has not really done very much with it. And with a ganking partner with Queen of Pain with that blink, you'd think that a Shadow Blade initiation would have been able to find kills on the SF like much more frequently, but they just haven't found him at all.
Good usage there of the Roar to get Moon out of trouble. He actually ended up channeling the Meteor Hammer for a second as well, but realized there are more heroes behind him and just walked away. But it's a lot of heroes down here for OpTic that are going to start to put some pressure onto the tier 1 tower, while Pycat continues to farm alone up in the top lane. And you mentioned Ritsu sort of struggling to find his place. He did hit out a really nice stack of Ancients there. It was 4 stacked for him. As bottom lane, Moon, maybe not fully aware that people are still in the area, is going to end up dropping in. This might just be the tower now.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Or they're going to
backing
fight
off. I guess, well, actually, yeah, I guess they don't have any detection. It's now actually Tiny finds 33, but of all the heroes that you could find, 33 is probably the best.
Now dying.
Yeah, nice little pickup there. I mean, obviously, you'd love to kill one of the other main cores, but...
Yeah. Well, yeah, best for OpTic, I mean. I mean, Ritsu's, he's still, like, doing well. I mean, he's the highest net worth hero. He's 5-0-1 right now.
Yeah.
But the later the game goes, I feel like Tiny is going to have issues. Like, we had mentioned so many times during the draft, like, what are they going to do about this Tiny? And right now, it doesn't seem to be, like, an issue for OpTic Gaming. They haven't needed to worry about the Tiny, even though they don't have the means to, like, crowd control or damage him yet.
They have one of the cooler crowd controls, though, in Sprout. And granted, there are still 4 staffs that can be used, and wild axes for the Beastmaster. As we're going to have a bit of a battle brewing. CNC walking on top of their heads. He can get set up here. The Requiem of Souls is going to come out. They want to take him down, but he ends up canceling it out. And they're going to back out and just take that kill onto PPD and move immediately into Roche.
Or kill Nature's Prophet afterwards as a tree throw, finishing him off.
CCNC
CCNC
goes
gonna get
for
it
it,
perfectly
takes the
timed.
pile. But can he get any more? Immediate buyback there as Zai wants to get in on the action. Meanwhile, a big old combo comes through. It's starting to rip through them all. Are they going to be able to get away from this? Ritsu does manage to get that Shadow Blade off, but then the dust comes out as well, now trying to run around. Hittrack is over here as well. Nearby his teammates, they're zeroing in on Ritsu. They want to find this kill desperately, and they'll get it. Back towards the Roche pit. Aui's starting to fall down low as Pycat's going to throw one more lance, and that should be the death of him. Wards will be taken down as well, and another kill onto the Undying. It's gone terribly.
I don't really think they can take Roche after this. Pycat's too low, but I guess maybe with all these trants and the fact that Medallion has been completed out, you're not going to find a better opening, and so... Again, Zai with a great buyback, and CCNC...
Oh, Meteor Hammer.
Oh, man.
Make a rain. A good amount of damage.
I guess. He has to run now.
He has
Zai's
the
like,
blink.
who the hell just Meteor Hammered this Roche?
Did he get the... He didn't get the last hit either. Moon's going to
And he's
TP
gonna
away,
get
but it's
canceled.
stunned. Oh, I mean, you can understand the desire, but... Oh, that was almost going to be a turnaround, but not quite there.
So at the beginning of the fight, CCNC recognized that if he channeled that full Requiem, like for one thing, he didn't get the perfect positioning, and so you could have maybe gone on the Beastmaster while he was channeling Meteor Hammer and get your full Requiem channel that way, but Beastmaster's not that big of a priority. You need to kill the Queen of Pain, so he holds on to the first Requiem. Afterwards, the rest of Animal Planet were like, well, let's keep picking targets, so they go on the Nature's Prophet, they get that kill. On the way back, CCNC with a perfectly timed Requiem, this time almost entirely bursts down the Queen of Pain in just one Requiem, but one raise to finish it off, and then Zai buying back, and again, like, Ritsu wasn't able to find the initiation that he wanted to. He had to spend the Shadow Blade running away. He was soaking up a ton of damage, but he wasn't attacking anyone during that time. He was just running around.
Yeah. It's definitely became such a chaotic fight. I feel like I ended up favoring OpTic for sure. I think also... I don't know if Queen of Pain had buyback at that point, but Zai bought back immediately, and it felt like they were ready to take that engagement. If Queen of Pain was able to get into it quickly, it might have also been able to turn things, but nonetheless, bottom lane, pressure coming, all the other tier 2s are down as Bryle forced to blink away right at the start of the fight. There's the jump forward, the Hex, the Ward Trap as well. They caught themselves one. The Roar is now there as well onto Weeha, or excuse me, 3-3. I know he has 3-3 in his name, but it's not actually Weeha. There's the Requiem that comes out. Tombstone is dead. 2 supports down.
Yeah, 2 supports down. Take a tier 1 in the meantime, and wards were spent yet again. So, as long as Aegis wasn't claimed, OpTic Gaming are content with that. Although AUI does have a Blink Dagger now.
Yeah. Revealed
So-
that last one. It was great.
Hopefully Zai stays off the map. Although Tiny is going to find him regardless. And Zai's dead.
The 1-2 doesn't even need the blink from Aoi. This is the strength of a Tiny at this stage of the game. Just beats the hell out of these cores.
I mean, this is what I was expecting was going to happen to Zai, like, all game long, but Zai has not been playing into this Tiny's hand. Like, the Shadow Blade has not been scouting on very much, and it's not because OpTic Gaming, like, are placing tons of sentries or something like that. It's just because they're grouping up constantly. Whenever it's the Nature's Prophet, you're like, well, he's going to be in one lane, and the other 4 heroes are going to be in the other lane. But no, Zai's been participating with his team. The Medallion, the Force Staff, it's all making sure that he can push along with the rest of the other 4 heroes of OpTic.
So, Ryle gonna push out through mid. You've also got some pressure that's over to the side.
Wow,
But now they're
Pycat's
moving
going in.
They're looking for the chase. They're gonna be able to find a Roar. The kick is gonna be off the mark. They don't quite find him. CCNC is dead. That's just the Aegis though. Sonic Wave still being held by Bryle. He
Nice
tried to cast
BKB
it, but he got
response.
stunned. They're gonna try and turn this back around. Roar already down, but the body blocked. Can't handle it. Can he get out of there in time? Is gonna be able to make it finish. PPD still being chased. It's 3-3. He's gonna be able to roll away in just a second.
I'm surprised Pycat went in so hard. He was playing as if he had the Aegis, because he saw the Beastmaster, and maybe he just didn't expect anyone from Animal Planet to be defending, but you were pushing a tier 2, and the Nature's Prophet was killed, so it seemed obvious that Animal Planet would be interested in defending, but regardless, he dies past the tier 2, and so while he's dying to the Shadow Shaman and the Meteor Hammer of Moon's Beastmaster, OpTic Gaming, the Shadow Fiend was getting initiated on as well, as now Roar is not up for 20 seconds, but they are zoning out the SF so they can hopefully get this tower mid.
Ritsu is also chasing right there. They're thinking about going on them, but a bit too far to dive. That's one of those plays, again, where if it's like Zai, there was one more creep or two more creeps left in this camp, and if he stays to get those, he's probably dead. So heads up play there.
Yeah, you can see he's not really interested in farming camps with his hero and lane with his hero. He just spawns the treants and hides in the shadows. Now we'll see if AUI can spot him. They do have a scan available if Animal Planet want to spend it, but no one suspects the Nature's Prophet just sitting there for 20 seconds.
Smoke here. They might have passed by this ward when they were heading over to the smoke, and pings are coming out now by 3-3. It looks like Animal Planet are aware, and they're backing up themselves. Radiant don't have vision. They have vision over Bryle. They're going to see him move back now.
Looks
So
like they're going to smoke up themselves.
yeah, they're going to try and bait this out, I think.
Dive
The
are
BKB
scanning.
as well as the Invis
Ritsu's
room.
gonna pop
Scan
it.
is there. Ritsu runs into them, and now it looks like they're just going to have to
Dire's
contend
bottom
themselves
tower
with taking
is under
the
attack.
tier 2 tower in this bottom lane. And a trade going on now.
Yeah, the way that Ritsu's smoke popped, he
Dire's
knew that
bottom tower
OpTic
has
were on
fallen.
his high ground, and so there's no way that
Radiant's
he can
middle
safely
tower
go
is
around
under
to
attack.
defend that tier 2, so
Radiant's structures
might as
are
well just go on the
fortified.
mid tier 2 instead, but
Dire's bottom tower
Glyph
is
blocking
under
out the
attack.
initial damage from that Meteor Hammer, though the DOT will still go through.
Bottom lane. Zai's doing what Nature's Prophet does best, just
Invisibility.
ratting it out, and the rest of these heroes, it's a little bit tough to take this fight. Kitrak is left alone on an island, and he's going
Dire's
to be forced
bottom
to
tower
be back
is under
now.
attack. Radiant are scanning.
A lot of damage dealt to that tower, though, and as they look for a pickoff, they are going to run right by this Queen of Pain.
It's a little unsafe for Bryle. I mean, he knows that his Tiny has a Shadow Blade, so there's probably detection all over the place, but yeah, he goes out. He has a BKB now, and so hopefully Queen of Pain feels a little bit more confident just going face first into the fight, following up with the Tiny, because the initial plan of like Tiny initiating and Queen of Pain following up for the pickoff, it hasn't really happened, like, at all in the game. And as teamfights roll around, at least now you'll have Beastmaster initiation to give you like all the time in the world. You've got the Roar, which is now maxed out, so that's 4 seconds. If Moon holds off on the Meteor Hammer perfectly, which he hasn't been, he's mainly been going for the Meteor Hammer as soon as he lands the Primal Roar, but still, like you had mentioned, that's a lot of crowd control. And so
Yeah.
if you're able to get that off on CCNC before he gets the BKB off, then his 2k HP SF starts looking much more vulnerable.
Absolutely. And not to mention all the creeps that are going to be hitting them while that's going on.
Right.
All the axes, all those shenanigans. But it is all predicated upon being able to find that
Dire's
roar onto
top
SF,
tower
and the
is
reality
under
is
attack.
CCNC, besides that one time when he got caught with the Aegis, hasn't gone down at all this game after that sort of abysmal laning stage. It is still a very even game. You take a look at the net worth, it was pretty heavily into the favor of Animal Planet, swung back the other way, and then back the other way. Now we're back to about even with Animal Planet ahead from experience. Is there a team that you feel like is just naturally going to have a better time in the late game? Oh, wait, or onto the mid. This could be their moment. They're getting it chained together perfectly. Meteor Hammer every damn thing, and CCNC is gone.
Roll away by 33. What a great Orchid by the Bryle's Queen of Pain.
Dire's
Like,
structures
Ogre Magi
are
was rolling in,
fortified.
he was just like, I see you channeling that Meteor Hammer, I'm gonna Fire Blast to cancel it. But then Bryle rolled in, blinked in,
Radiant's
got the
middle
Orchid off on the
tower
Ogre
is under
Magi, and then
attack.
all of a sudden Ogre was like, wait, now I'm in the AoE
Oh.
for this Meteor Hammer.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
As Pycat, looking for something.
He wants to
We're
cut the
gonna
creep
run.
wave. But Moon is going to run into him as well now. And, well, he needs to TP away before he ends up being brought down. But this is not good for Pycat. He's sticking around, I think, maybe a bit too long as the chase is going to be there. And they find the shackles. Definitely not worth.
I do.
Moon was completely out of mana, so Phantom Lancer was not dealing very much damage, and yeah, that creep cutting shenanigan does not last for long. Not that I think that Animal Planet were planning on pushing high ground regardless, as Ritsu spots out PPD, but PPD is a very, very tanky boy, especially with a range drop. And if 33 manages to follow up, then Ritsu would need to be very careful.
So the nice part about it is that they do
he's
have a
going.
toss. He's trying to bring him down. Good kick away. Hit track,
Still
looking
be
for
the
the
last
finish.
man standing.
Yeah, he's gone. The plus side is that it bought time for Shadow Fiend. The downside is he probably could have done the same and just like left Moon alone, but regardless, it doesn't matter. We're 30 minutes into it. 2 heroes are down for OpTic. Roshan is back up. They might think about going there.
Yeah, you had mentioned which team I prefer in the late game. The only reason that I prefer Animal Planet is because they have solid initiation. Because Moon Meander is going to be, like, the game can end on a roar, depending on the kind of opening that he finds. Whereas OpTic Gaming, they don't have that. They don't have, like, a Sand King, or StarLadder is not really a pick anymore, but they don't really have any Blink Initiators. They don't have any Blink Daggers on their team whatsoever. Their best initiation choice is either 33 rolling in, or Zai finding someone with a Sprout. And both of those are not only unreliable, but it's not hard control, really. It won't last very long. And so, like, obviously, with a Nature's Prophet in the game, you are like, well, you know, split push is constantly a concern, and Shadow Fiend scales exceptionally, but the fact that OpTic Gaming don't have any teamfight initiation has me favoring Animal Planet as the game goes later.
Yeah. I mean, the one nice part about it is that there is still, as you mentioned, that Zai gonna be able to get away from there. Like, the nice part about the mild initiation that they do have is that it's still kind of effective against Tiny in that status resistance isn't going to affect it. The Sprout from Zai. That's like about the best thing that you could say about it. But even still, it's like you're not really going to be able to keep that guy contained.
True. And Ritsu recognizes that. He's been keeping this Quelling Blade in his inventory since like minute 5.
Right.
And even once he completes his BKB, he can swap it out with the TP scroll, and like he will hold on to that Quelling Blade because North American Dota has a lot of history with cores getting caught in Sprouts, so they all know the deal, they all know the procedure. And even whenever they do initiate on that Tiny, like, not only is Beastmaster concerned, but since AUI has found so much farm with this Blink Dagger, like, even counter initiation is great, and this is a very ballsy Roche.
Yeah, this is scary as hell. They're walking in right now with the Beastmaster, and they're just going to keep the illusions in there. I just saw that Zai's Treants names are tagged up as victims of the ghetto. What in the hell?
What? I don't even see that.
I mean, it's just for me. Who knows? Wild Axes walking away yet again. Ritsu, Invis. They might give up one of these heroes. If it's only PPD they lose, then I think they're okay with that.
How about Pycat? You okay with
Radiant's
that?
middle tower is under
So,
attack.
using the Doppelganger away. Still scary. PPD gonna go down. They pop the BKB. And just wanting to ensure that one kill. Also, Aoi was able to get down the wards in the mid lane. And just the blink out before they're able to get the right click in from Zai.
Well, they're not even going for Roche. They're going straight for
He
this
does have
BKB.
out. That's big, though. He's still going to be able to live through this now. The Meteor Hammer comes down. It's only onto 1, so CCNC lives. They might be able to take down this Prophet, though, as Zai is going to fall. Tier 3 tower also down. And can they kill off Pycat? He's going to go for the Doppelganger away, trying to run 3-3. Rolls in a little bit off the mark. Tombstone is down as well. They can send in illusions on this if they wanted to try and kill off the tomb. Looks like with that, Animal Planet will back. As top lane is going to be pushed in considerably. Ritsu forced to retreat and defend. And it's suddenly, again, an Animal Planet lead. 7,000 net worth into their favor.
They need to make sure that they don't give up this Roche, though. They went for that tier 3 initiation because AUI put down those wards, but that means that Roche is still an available objective for both teams. And at least now you opened up shrines, so hopefully Animal Planet can slowly squeeze OpTic Gaming to the bottom of the map so that they can take out the top shrine unimpeded. But whatever the case, Animal Planet can't afford to let this Roche go the way of OpTic. The second Roche, that is. This now has cheese on it as well.
I don't know if we talked about this yet, but Phantom Lancer Heart. Oh, killed off that creep wave. Ryle jumps in. That is bold as brass. The roll forward with the kick, but they don't quite find him. And now Ritsu turn around, maybe going to be able to get this one. Moon making his way into this as well. He's quite there in time, though, so the Red Moon of Souls is going to come out. The turnaround onto the zombie. Zai is starting to fall down as well. They managed to find that roar now. Only onto the Earth Spirit, though. The Meteor Hammer to follow it up. Is it going to be enough damage? They get the Sonic Wave. He rolled into the freaking thing. But they are going to be able to run away with CC&C, it looks like. So they don't end up losing those most valuable heroes as Highcat is ready to go in a second time. He's going to send all those illusions in. Ryle finds him out, though, trying to get this kill. They have the Avalanche. They do have the toss as well to follow it up. The Shackles are there, and they take down Highcat. No buyback.
Highcat keeps entering these fights after, like, they've been pretty much already decided. Like, I can understand why he's going in if Shadow Fiend decided to reinitiate, but Shadow Fiend spent that initial BKB getting that Requiem off, and if Bryle had spent that Blink earlier, then that Sprout would have kept Bryle in place and maybe finished him off with the Requiem, but Bryle blinked out. Zai was like, well, great, now I'm in a terrible position, so he dies for the Queen of Pain. 33 rolls into Sonic Wave as well, as you mentioned, and the BKB was spent for Shadow Fiend, so CC&C just left. And then afterwards, Pykat's like, okay, well, you know, I've got my heart, let's go fight, but there's no one to help a Phantom Lancer, and he goes down. Roche is also given to the Tiny, and Cheese is given to the Queen of Pain, and wards are spent. That's in one lane down.
And they're not even going to be able to go for any rat-tastic plays afterwards, because top lane is being pushed out by Moon this entire time. He has bots, so he can get in there with the rest of his team if he needs to. Looks like they're going to retreat now and maybe decide to take down these shrines along the way, or possibly just get into their next round of items, because they are getting stacked up with a 15,000 gold lead.
Yeah, poor Ritsu had to put his Quelling Blade in the backpack. That's how you know that they're too rich.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that they're not converting more off of this. Like, Phantom Lancer was dead for quite a while. I feel like they could have gone for a top tier 2 push, but I guess you've got the Aegis now, so the impending Roche from OpTic being a potential is no longer a concern, so you can waste a little bit of time, maybe get another pick. If you're able to find Zai, then I imagine the Animal Planet squad will go for another high ground push.
And they can do that so much more effectively now. They're all getting gold. They got items. Look at Moon. He's getting a lot of items. Victims of the Moon Meander.
Heyo.
He's going to have Roar next. He's also going for a Sheep Stick. Oh my goodness. Whoever he goes on is just not going to be doing things for a while. If you get Roar, just take your hands off the keyboards. Go get a drink.
It's like having 2 Rastas on your team, and they already have the first Rasta.
I know, it's nuts. He takes the Inner Beast cool, attack speed, so it's plus 40 now, an additional 85 attack speed. It's like you're giving AoE Alacrity minus the damage.
Radiant's bottom shrine has fallen.
These towers are going to go down so quickly, and Ritsu's just chipping away this tier 3 bot. There's no one that can really stop him. He's got maxed out Grow, he's got an Aegis, he's got a Butterfly, and no one has any sort of accuracy buff yet. Actually, Zai does have a Solar Crest, so that's some accuracy that'll help, but yeah, the Quelling Blade is the real ace in the hole.
And they've just kind of taken complete control of this map. Net worth lead, and particularly the experience lead, is the other big issue. Like, they'd love to be able to get into some of these later game talents.
Oh, Pycat. You know it's the real one because he picked up that rune.
Oh, there's the catch, and he should still live through this. It's rather tough. They are
the
trying to bait
old
it out.
trick.
Hey, Shackles ends up getting canceled. He's still silenced though, and will die in the end. No buyback again. He was 340 gold short.
And 33 survives just barely from Primal Roar initiation by Moon Meander in the meantime.
Away. He won't be caught.
I am a little surprised that Moon didn't go for the Hog Talent, because against Nature's Prophet it would be so value, but now I guess now that you already have one lane down, all you're really concerned about is just like putting OpTic in the grave, so you're not really hinging on pickoffs, you just need to finish the game.
Shadow Fiend trying to finish off these souls and get tanky and out of control yet again. He's still ridiculously farmed in terms of his net worth. He's just a couple hundred gold short right now of that full Scotty. He's hoping to pick it up here with his last couple of right clicks, but the tower's starting to fall, and the Hex comes out as well from Moon. Meteor Hammer finishes off the tower as Bryle blinks back. He's drop the tombstone as well. That should be taken care of in short order. He's going to get healed back up again by the soul rip, and now they have the shackles. On to CCNC, pops the BKB. Sonic Wave is out. He's going to fall. They lose CCNC. No buyback at all. 3-3 is dead as well, and good game is called. We're going to a game number 3.
TCNC was positioned pretty aggressively, but I think OpTic Gaming knew that the game was practically over. It's admirable that they were able to stay in it as long as they did. I give a large credit to that to Zai with the amount of space that he was able to create early on, but like I said in the draft, there were just too many lanes that you need to be concerned about for OpTic Gaming, and none of them were able to get anything done. The only reason that Pycat was able to get any farm initially is because Zai was spending so much time in his lane, and even then Moon Meander ended up being the second most farmed hero on his team. And that time the sacrificial Ritsu ended up panning out. It was a little bit dicey in the mid game, but thanks to Moon Meander getting so much farm, and Bryle also, and AUI, like pretty much the entire team was very well rounded in terms of farm. And so it worked out that time, and Animal Planet take the second game as we now go to a game 3 decider.
Absolutely. And thinking about the way that's going to look out, it feels to me like this one might have been an outdraft. I don't know. Again, like there's probably things that were meant to go differently during the laning stage, but they just got rolled over, and it never really felt like they had a good answer. I don't know. Thinking about making some changes in the next game. Stick around, everybody. It's going to be game number 3 in just a few minutes. OpTic versus Animal Planet in the North American qualifiers for the StarLadder Invitational season number 4. That's coming up in just, I think it's at the beginning of February, if I'm not mistaken. So these teams getting ready to fly over to lovely old China, play some Dota, but they got to get through all of the other competition first. So stay tuned, everybody. Game 3 right around the corner.